Welcome back to day 15. Today we're going to explore what is real. What is real anyway? And to start us off, I'm going to read a paragraph from a book that I love, The Velveteen Rabbit. So if you'd like, you can close your eyes and settle into the breath in the body and the sensations that you feel as you receive this brief paragraph. What is real? Asked the rabbit one day when they were lying side by side near the nursery fender before Nana came to tidy the room. Does it mean having things that buzz inside you and a stick-out handle? Real isn't how you are made, said the skin horse. It's a thing that happens to you. When a child loves you for a long, long time, not just to play with, but really loves you, then you become real. Does it hurt? Asked the rabbit. Sometimes, said the skin horse, for he was always truthful. When you are real, you don't mind being hurt. Does it happen all at once, like being wound up, he asked, or bit by bit? It doesn't happen all at once, said the skin horse. You become. It takes a long time. That's why it doesn't happen often to people who break easily, or have sharp edges, or who have to be carefully kept. Generally, by the time you are real, most of your hair has been loved off and your eyes drop out. And you get loose in the joints and very shabby. But these things don't matter at all, because once you are real, you can't be ugly, except to people who don't understand. But once you are real, you can't become unreal again, for it lasts always. So just feel the breath in the body and the body in the space where you are. And what I love about this conversation between two toys is how the love of a child can help a toy to become real. And I'm sure you can all relate to a toy that you may have had growing up where you just loved it so much that you felt that it was real. So when we think about what is real in our own lives, we can think about what is here in this moment right now. What are our physical sensations in the body, the breath in the body, the sounds that you can hear around you, the sensations, the taste in your mouth, all of your senses, the smell, the sight, things that you can see. This is what is real for you right now. Sometimes we get caught in thinking that our projections of our mind are real. The projections of fear or anxiety are real. The projections of what might happen tomorrow or the next day, that these are real, when in actuality they're not. I want to show you a little diagram, so hopefully you can see this. So this is an iceberg. And if you think about an iceberg, what we see on the top, what we see at the very top of the iceberg is all that we can see of it. And this analogy has been used in many different ways, but for this example, it's what is underneath, so we don't see. So this could be the physical sensations in the body, the emotions in the body, the thoughts that we have. All of these things we cannot see, but actually our behavior we can see. And if we turn this around, so firstly, to grasp that, the only things that we can see are the behavior. All these other pieces that go on for us, we can't see. But the behavior becomes very real. The things that we do in our lives become very real, very seen. But sometimes the physical sensations, we don't see that. We don't necessarily see the emotion that a person has. Sometimes we can pick it up from their faces, and we don't necessarily see their thoughts. But all of these things inform how a person behaves. If we also turn this around, sometimes when we think about what we see, what is actually happening in our lives is this piece, the physical sensations, the emotions, the thoughts. But sometimes what we project out is a huge swathe of thoughts and emotions and feelings about things that have yet to happen. But in actuality, what is real is much smaller than all that we hold in our awareness. So we want to be very aware of tuning back into the sensations in our body, to what is actually happening. So this, when we're caught in a fear cycle or in a depression cycle, in this anxiety, all this stuff that we project out feels like it's real, but actually it may never happen. So what we need to do is to come back to what is actually happening. What are the physical sensations? What are the emotions and the thoughts? And we can choose to disengage from our thoughts. We can choose to connect with other thoughts, to let go of maybe troublesome thoughts. And as we learn to let go of those troubling thoughts, we actually become a little bit more empowered to what is happening for us. So your meditation practice for today is going to be to sit with awareness, starting out with the breath, moving it to the body, moving it then to the physical sensations and the sounds that you hear, the emotional tone and thoughts. And in this practice, it's around shifting our awareness so that we can learn to expand our awareness, not just when we're on the cushion, but then also into our world as a whole. So how do we take in all of these things that are happening and yet realize and stay with the very real fact that we are separate from the sounds that we hear and the thoughts that we have. So the practice of meditation really helps us to disengage, or to not get so entangled in the thoughts. And similarly with cognitive behavioral therapy, what we know is that we want to recognize our emotions and our thoughts and our behaviors as distinct and connecting in with the physical sensations. So similarly, we can realize that, we have this physical sensation, we have this emotional tone, and this thought, but actually sometimes we can choose a different thought, or we can observe that thought and realize actually that thought is just a worrisome thought. It's not helpful. So I can maybe let go of that thought, asking myself the question, who am I without that thought? So Byron Katie does some lovely work around 4 questions, and I'll include those in today's additional practice, where you can look at maybe troublesome thoughts that you're having in a way that gets you to ask 4 very simple questions. Is it true? Is this thought true? Can I be absolutely certain that this thought is true? And when we ask these questions, sometimes initially we kind of justify the thought and say, oh yeah, no, absolutely it is true. And yes, it is true. But when we say, is it absolutely true? Sometimes we don't know actually, is it really true? And who are we without that thought? Does it bring a little element of freedom when we imagine ourselves letting go of that thought and then turning it around? What could we say that will be more empowering? So this gives us a chance to kind of investigate inwardly the construct of our thinking, and to realize a lot of our thinking isn't truthful. Actually, some of it's propaganda. It's media, fake news, if you want, that we've spin out, that comes from our own minds, that tell us that maybe we're not good enough, or maybe that we should be afraid. Maybe it projects some of our bigger fears in ways that are not helpful. And look, there is ample fear out there at the moment, but you don't have to engage in it. You can limit your exposure to a lot of things, the media, people, and ultimately contain some of that. So you're in a fortunate enough position in some ways, but what we want to do ultimately is learn, how do we manage the mind, this mind that jumps into maybe projecting things that aren't real, to come back to what is actually real. And what is real is now, this moment, this sensation in the body, this emotion, these thoughts, what is actually happening right now in the body. And this is the practice, to always begin again. The opportunity is that with each breath we have a chance to begin again. Each breath brings us back to the opportunity to start again, start afresh, to come back to now. So your invitation for today is, as best you can, explore your relationship to your thoughts. What is actually real? come back to that. Come back to what is real. Thank you. Talk to you tomorrow.